Hey, welcome back to the Gecko Cove Connection. My name is Bobby. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Jay from SBSF Reptiles. He is an amazing guy. I've chatted with him a few times online, and he has some of the most killer gargoyles I have seen. We will be talking today about Magnus, his amazing six-stripe male that is just producing absolute fire. He was the one where Jake from Red Rack worked together with him and produced some amazing geckos. Now that Jake has retired, I think I've heard rumors that he might be back. If that is the case, Jake, if you're watching this, I need to get you on here. But he has produced some amazing geckos, and now he has his Jake's collection. So I can't wait to see what he shows us today. And we talk about gargoyles, obviously. We talk about some of his amazing inventions. He's an engineer by trade, as well as some other species that he keeps. He does keep some hot species, and he has just such a great variety of animals that we're going to have some fun stuff to talk about. So if that sounds interesting to you, you're in the right place. Welcome back to the Gecko Cove Connection. All right. After a long hiatus, welcome back to the Gecko Cove Connection. My name is Bobby, and today I have the pleasure of introducing Jay from SBSF Reptiles. Welcome, Jay.
Thank you for having me. Quick announcement. So I currently go by SBSF Reptiles, but I'll be changing the company name to Goliath Reptiles and Inverts. So be on the lookout for
Oh,
that.
okay. Very cool. Okay, so I remember seeing on your Instagram you were going to drop that. So is this the first time you've announced this publicly?
Yeah. I'm still working out changing my LLC declaration, so it's all official soon.
That's
So
really
yeah.
cool. That's a big gamble to change a name. You're pretty successful and well known. What made you want to change your name?
Uh, Signing up to vend at like the Reptile Super Show. Like I don't want to name names, but the showrunner was all like, "What does he like? What even is an SBSF? Like, change your name. It doesn't sound cool enough." So
Fair enough.
I'm changing it
Goliath
just
sounds pretty
because.
cool.
Yeah, I'm changing it just because apparently Goliath Reptiles sounds a lot cooler.
Very cool. What does SBSF stand for?
That's a question for my wife. She made it up.
Fair enough. Very nice. All right. So it'll forever be a mystery to me. That's okay, but Goliath is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And so yeah, you'll have to send me your new logo so I put the right one on the image that I'll put up with the video.
Oh, for
So
sure, for sure.
very cool. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Honestly, your Instagram page has so many cool animals, let alone gargoyle geckos. So where did you start? Did you start with geckos? Did you start with other animals?
Uh,
How long have you been keeping non-furry pets?
so I started when I was 7. My brother gave
Okay.
me my first ball pythons, and I bred my first snakes by the time I was 8. So I've been doing this a minute. Um, so I started as like a ball python guy. I know, crucify me, right? But like I wasn't one of
Sure,
those COVID
typical.
ball python people, all right? Like I came in the game before it was cool.
Very
So
nice.
I did that. I bred corn snakes for a really long time. What else? What did I move on to from there? Like starting in about 2010 is when I got my first Cresties, and then 2011 I got my first Lychee.
Oh, nice.
Um, Gargs I didn't really get into until after 2015.
Okay.
But yeah,
That's
like I
still
just been
early to
doing
me.
reptiles forever. Yeah, I've been doing reptiles super, super long. Like I've been in the game a minute.
Yeah. No, it sounds like you got a ton of experience. So going back to your initial stock of New Caledonia geckos, so you started with the crested geckos, then got into the lychees, and then into gargs. Was there anything when you first started with the crested geckos? What were you drawn to? What did you initially pick up, or were you a little bit of
They
everything?
they were like back then, like way back then, like over, oh, dude, just to think about it.
I
Oh my
know
God,
the
almost a
math.
decade ago. right? Like almost a decade ago, even just having a Cresty was cool,
Yeah.
right? Like no one gave a like no one cared what they looked like. It was just it was cool to have one. So back then it was just like, oh man, this cool little brown gecko. Like look at its head, right? Like it looks like a little triangle. It was sick. But
Yeah, it was.
um yeah, I guess nowadays like I've really scaled back on the Cresties because everyone and their mama does Cresties these days.
Yeah.
Um and I was like, m- one of the follies of my Instagram and like my brand is I'm so varied with the stuff I do that no one knows me for one thing, which kind
Okay.
of is good and is also kind of bad because like when I vend at shows, everyone like when you go to a show and for instance as a customer you're like, okay, I want to go get myself a ball python or a crested gecko or a garg. You're looking for the dude that specializes in that,
Yeah.
and you most likely will buy from the guy that specialized. But
Yeah, fair enough.
yeah, I'm too ADD to do just one. Like I do some of the like, and that's not to say that even though I'm so varied, I don't have some of like the best stuff on the market. Like as you've seen with
I was gonna
Magnus
say.
and my babies, like I can produce some top end stuff. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, like I've produced some of like the best like beauty snakes out there. I'm one of the only people working with hypo Taiwanese beauty snakes. I produce some like really baller Leachianas. So
Yeah, I
even
saw
though
one of
I'm
your
so
babies. You posted on
yeah,
Instagram. The thing was just covered. I don't know if it's
y-
called snowflake or what it is, but you could
we
ship
you
that to me
know
anytime you want. I don't even have a lychee.
it would be a pretty cool place to start. That would be a
Would
pretty
that be a
baller starting
great
spot.
first lychee?
Yeah, that would be a killer one.
Yeah.
Um,
So you diversified your stock into all these different species, and I know we'll get into this a little bit later, but it's not even just reptiles. You've got your beetle collection, different species there, which is pretty awesome. Um, but when you're vending, right? Are people just shocked when they see your table at the variety that you offer, or are you strategic with what you bring?
it really just depends what I have in stock at the moment. Like,
Okay.
but I will say because my mentor or like my dad, essentially he's just my dad, Steve Angeli. I always vend with Steve. Like we'll either
Yeah.
be adjacent, like right next to each other, like booth buddies, or I'm at his booth. It's
That's
usually
cool.
that's the case. So by default, I am at the craziest booth at any show because Steve specializes in helodermatids, beaded lizards.
Yeah.
So, we're
Those are
the
amazing.
beaded lizard guys, you know. For
Didn't I
instance,
see there you had a hypo?
yes. So me, Steve, and our buddy out in the Netherlands are the only people in the world that have hypomelanistic beaded lizards.
Oh, that is gorgeous. That thing is just disgusting how gorgeous it is. And they're such cool animals to begin with. So it basically just takes out the black pigment for the most part, makes it brown.
And then all of these dots, they're supposed to be
Hmm.
yellow, but they're white.
That's awesome. So where did that pop up with whose collection?
Steve's. So the first
Okay.
hypo was produced in 2007? No, 2005. The
Okay.
first hypo was produced in 2005, and we've never been able to replicate it.
Interesting.
The only way I have this one is it just randomly popped up again from an unrelated pair.
Really? Okay. And so are different sexes? Are you going to pair them up one day? The two that you have?
So, so the one that Steve has is currently almost like 20 years old, and
Okay.
he's never fathered children.
Interesting. So it might be sterile.
It's always the pretty ones that don't want to fuck, dude. I don't know what it is. It's always the
It's because
pretty
we
ones.
wanted too much. You're probably in there just like peeking, and they're like, "Leave me
Yeah,
alone! I can't perform."
yeah,
Oh
like, yeah.
man.
It's always the pretty ones.
Oh, I know. Well, especially with any kind of recessive trait or things like that. I started off with bearded dragons. Never bred them, but one thing I
Uh-huh.
found was depending on the quality of the bearded dragon, they packed in so many recessive traits. Some of these, I picked up this one that just it barely ate. It was not the healthiest animal, because not that you can't have an animal packed with recessives and be healthy, but
There's so much inbreeding that's
so breed.
implied
Yeah,
by having a recessive, like a packed in recessive animal. Oh, just to show you the
right.
difference. This is a
Yeah,
normal.
see.
See? Super,
Yep.
super dark, super yellow in comparison.
So cool.
Yeah, so
Dude, you
this is a
pick up
normal.
these are hot animals, aren't they?
Yeah,
They're
they're
venomous.
they're venomous. Yeah, they're properly
Yeah, and
venomous.
you're
But
just
like,
picking them up like like they're nothing. It's a puppy dog.
yeah.
Uh, so okay, I got to ask you about this since you got them out. So you're picking them up like it's absolutely nothing. Obviously, you built a trust with them. Is that something that almost anybody can do? Do you have to work with them as babies and be
Uh,
super careful and trained? Like,
Depends how much of a pussy you're gonna be about it.
well, I mean, I don't want to die. I don't know what the venom's like.
No one's ever died from a helidermatid bite, ever.
Okay, that's good news.
The venom just really fucking hurts. So this is an
Fair enough.
alvarezi, like pure black.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So,
That's
like,
gorgeous.
can anyone handle them like this? Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
when I attend the shows, we take Big Boy with us, which is the world's first hypo. We take him with us, and
Hmm.
he's just puppy dog tame. Like, we could kiss him on the mouth, and he wouldn't do nothing to us.
That's awesome. So
And
cool.
like, we let other people hold Big Boy, but under supervision.
Right. Yeah, if they're gonna freak out, you won't give it to them. But so, I mean, what would make them want to bite
Uh,
realistically? Like,
it's
if you're pissing them off, but
it's also dependent on their own personality. Like, there are some that are just more inclined to be assholes. You
okay,
know,
yeah, like people.
yeah. Like typically Alvarezi, like these guys are really chill and mellow. This is probably the easiest to handle species of beaded.
Okay,
Watch me get bit right now, just world
right.
star. Just
It would make a great video. I hope it doesn't happen, but yeah,
yeah. No, he wouldn't do it.
no, that's awesome. Such
Yeah.
cool animals. I mean, I know so many people would love to have them. I think just a little bit freaked out just by the fact that they do have venom, but just
Like
whatever.
I've
You're not
working
going to lose
work
a limb.
no, working under
What kind of
Steve.
venom do they have?
So I believe it's a cytotoxin. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
And the reason why I don't think it's anything like a hemotoxin, neurotoxin, or the stuff that'll actually kill you.
Yeah.
Cytotoxins just cause pain, I believe. Uh, like I haven't
I'll look
rehearsed,
it
or
up.
yeah, I haven't versed, but like of the toxins, all these guys
Yeah.
have is like a very intense pain causing venom.
Cool.
From what I know and what I've experienced, I've been bit like at least 10, 15 times, and it sucks each and every time, but it gets easier. Like the first time I thought I was gonna shit my pants.
Oh
The
no.
latest time I kind of just got really grumpy and sat on the couch and took an Advil. So,
Fair enough. So
yeah.
you're getting used to the toxins, a little bit of uh,
Yeah,
immunity, or
the
you're just maybe
tolerance
toughing
to
it
it.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that. I don't know. It hurts, but it's not that bad.
How often would you say you've been bit? Like, could you count on
It's it's
10 fingers?
always no, I mean, it's always when I'm working with babies, and it's because of just
That's what I figured.
overconfidence. Like me just
Yeah.
being like, "Oh yeah, I can just like move you real quick into like to clean out the poop or like get them out of the water bowl real fast." Like I should stop
Yeah.
doing that. But, I just don't learn. And
Well, yeah.
also I know I'm not going to die, so it's kind of whatever.
Well, you treat them like like the adults, and they're still little babies. So it makes sense.
Yeah, the adults
Um,
you just pick up by the tail and toss them across the cage if you need to access the other part. It's really no big deal.
yeah, I mean, during your video, I mean, it's cool to hear you, and it makes sense. But when I saw your videos, you're just like throwing that thing around like it's a beardy. I'm like, that is badass. So yeah, for
Oh,
someone who's never
dude,
held one, it's impressive.
try, try going to Steve's house and making him, he makes you wrangle up the spitting cobras. That'll put some hair on your chest. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that I would never do. That
yeah,
would be
like
cool, but because that
working
could
under
kill me.
Steve. Yeah, working under Steve, I'm just jaded to it. Like I was like, oh yeah, that's just a gaboon viper. The snake with the fastest strike in the fucking west. It will straight just
Jeez.
take you off the census real fast. So, you know,
Yep. That's cool though. How long have you been working with hot species?
Uh, at least 7, maybe 8 years. Well, I mean, I had Pacific Rattlers since 20. I kept my first set of Northern Pacific rattlesnakes in 2016.
Okay.
So I've had them for a while.
Yeah. I have you ever had an instance where you've been bit by something a little more serious, or
No,
knock on
no.
wood, you're that's awesome, man.
No, like with stuff that can
Um,
actually hurt me, I get real careful.
yeah, no, makes sense. I mean, yeah, there's a big difference between pain and losing a limb or your life, so
Yeah,
makes sense. Or I'd love to keep talking about these, but it's a gecko podcast, so I want to pivot over to that real quick
for
again.
sure.
Um, because like you said, even though you don't specialize in one species, dude, the Magnus Cleopatra babies you are posting are
All right, hold
just
on. Let me go
some of
get
the
them.
most wicked. Oh man,
Yeah, yeah, like
you want my
the,
next you want my next kid? I'll just trade you. No, I'm kidding, but like seriously, I mean Gecko
so
Kid. If my wife's watching this, Jesus Christ, yeah,
like look
and
at
that's a
I've never
female.
seen yeah, I've never seen a gecko or a garg covered up in the legs like this.
Mm-mm. Yeah, that is just ridiculous coverage. I mean,
And then
it
look at the
makes
face, dude.
sense. Yeah, that is so cool. That is ridiculous. Now, this reminds me, was it the same pairing? Because Jake had Magnus for a while from Red Rack, right?
Well, Magnus is my gecko. I loaned him Magnus to perform that pairing.
Right. And so, but because was it Cleopatra was his originally, and then that
Yes,
was
Cleopatra is
agreed upon?
his.
Okay.
So this is Magnus right here, fired down.
Oh, that's
Oop,
cool.
Magnus, please.
Yeah, he is gorgeous. How old is he now?
He has to be around 6.
Okay.
And even at 6 years old, he's still looking like a little stunner.
He is. I mean, he's bright. I mean, he's a genetic powerhouse. I think you've proven that.
Yeah, and he's even though he's getting older, like I've seen some 6 and 8 year olds that look
Yeah.
absolutely garbage as they just age like milk. This guy,
Yeah.
he's fired down. Let's keep that in mind. He's super fired down. You could tell by his base color. When he fires up, he's like a
Yep.
dark brown. So,
That is
yeah.
amazing. Yeah, and he doesn't have the thickest laterals, but he's got really insane quad. His back is just so filled in,
Right.
and just the overall quality of him is A plus.
It's the
He's
vibrancy
amazing.
for me, and it's
Yeah,
the fact that he's not red. I wouldn't call him red. He's more of an orange.
yeah. Well, it's that in between kind of bicolor esque between that orange and reddish. You know,
Right.
it's almost I don't know. I call it lava. It is awesome.
Yeah.
So okay,
Hopefully he starts to fire up.
did you produce him?
No, I got him from my good friend John. Um,
Okay.
John Felicity or Felicetti. I honestly
Yeah,
don't know
yeah,
how.
yeah. I think it's
Yeah,
Felicetti.
yeah, Felicetti. Yeah, I
Yeah.
got him. I
John,
got
if we're
Magnus from
wrong, I'm
him.
sorry. I got to get you on the podcast. I had to
I
cancel on him
know.
a month ago.
Oh, Johnny, he's a busy boy.
Yes. Well, I got sick. That's why I feel bad. I haven't thrown out a lot of these podcasts. I got, got to call everybody back and apologize for being sick for 2 months. Dude, look at that. So you got him from John.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. And so then you've now paired him to Cleopatra, and you're just producing absolute fire, which
Yep.
is great. And
Yep.
so, how many babies have you gotten from them
A
so
total
far?
of 4.
Okay.
It was
And
Cleopatra's first time breeding.
was it okay? And that
Yeah.
was all last season. You got 4 eggs out of her.
Mm-hmm. That was all we got.
Nice. Hey, that's not bad. It was my very first season last year, and I only had one girl that just laid consistently, and I had one girl who laid 1 egg, one girl who laid 2 eggs, and that was it.
Oh
So
man.
yeah, I mean, it's fine. My baby rack's full, my little tiny baby rack. So but it was a good introduction. But yeah, you learn that the females, they don't necessarily produce 100% the
Yeah,
first year.
it dude, I don't know if it was the same for the Gargs. Like for me, it was weird because like a lot of the animals were being transferred from Jake over to me, so like they weren't in the mood to breed because like a big, shift
Yeah.
in environment. And also it was like end of season, so like I didn't get a much production in the Gargs. But across the board, like my lychees didn't want to give me no eggs last year. So it was kind of rough. Like it was a rough year for production last year.
It's a rough year for sales right now too.
Oh yeah, I mean
So it's a double-edged sword.
it was kind of a blessing because
Go ahead.
yeah. So anyway, as I was saying, like it's kind of good that they didn't produce because otherwise I'd just be sitting on a ton of babies that won't sell. But
Yeah.
it's also kind of bad because now I don't have babies to sell. So eh.
Yeah, I mean they're gorgeous. I mean, I would love to buy one. It's just I need to sell these before I'm able to afford anything else. And I'm guessing they're not like $500.
The Cleopatra no. Dude,
Sorry, I had to joke.
I've I've had some pretty gnarly offers. Like there was one offer I got for that Cleopatra's Magnus baby, that one I just
Mhm.
showed.
Yeah,
It was enough zeros to make me really consider it.
yeah, and you didn't take it?
Well, in the wise words of Steve Angeli, my mentor, my pops,
Yeah,
you never sell your best shit.
fair
You
enough.
can't. Like if you're
No,
trying to stay in this game for the longevity, like you have to keep your best shit to keep producing, right? Like that's how you stay in the game.
no, I think that's great advice. So anybody listening, keep your stuff. All right, if it's the best you produced, keep it. I know it's tempting. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
when
okay.
the Asian
So
starts throwing zeros at you, man, like it gets real tempting, but you just got to say no, like I got to keep it.
well, even okay. So my red girl Eve, when I first started this, and she blew up with colors. I mean, she's a nice six stripe, nothing on the head, but she just blends in fully red. I don't know if you were able to see any of those pictures, but you know, when I first started, I actually had someone reach out and offer me 7 grand. And I'm like, dude, I just started. No. And it made me think about it, but I'm like, if someone's already reaching out to me and saying, I mean, had never seen a fully red gecko like her. And especially when she was, fully fired up, she was just uh, red like a fire engine, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is too cool. And I'm like, well, I can produce the babies. Every baby will come out just like her and it'll be worth it. You know, well, I only got 2 babies. I don't think they came out exactly like her, but they're cool. But I think that's the male I paired with her, so I paired her with the
Yeah.
red male with her this
So
year.
actually, I mean, I'm still compared to like John and like the greats like PDV and all them. I'm still a little baby boy, but from my findings,
Yes,
and you can refute me on this if you'd like, but I believe the color and quality comes from the boys. I have paired
interesting.
amazing females to like mediocre males, and the babies come out mediocre. I can pair Magnus to any female, and that baby comes out nice.
That's interesting. Well, I hope you're right for the fact that I just invested in 2 stellar boy blotches that are just insane. My male red blotch red base from Renee King is just
Okay, I know Renee.
absolutely insane. Yeah. So, but yeah, I hope you're right. I've never heard that theory before, though.
That's
Eh,
just me knowing a bunch of Garg breeders and what I've seen
mhm,
in my own collection. Of course, Magnus has only had kids one time. I just used him as an example. But like,
sure.
I've had some really nice males in the past that I sold off those boys to afford Magnus when I bought him. But I knew that like just seeing the trend, if I pair a
Yeah.
nice boy to any girl, it could be a nice girl, an ugly one, the babies come out nice. And I just believe that there has to be something with the color that comes from the males. The females
Interesting.
don't contribute too much to that. It's the boys, in my opinion.
I wonder if the females, because listening to some of the other big guns in this gargoyle world, obviously you've got the color, but you also have the pattern, and they're separate. At least the base color and then the pattern color, right? I wonder if the males are more inclined to give the pattern color versus even the base, if that makes sense.
Um, So when we're talking about coverage, color, and quality of color, I'll put it,
Yeah.
I think again, do the females contribute nothing? No, they do have a factor to play. I just think overall the males put in way more chips into that pot, right? Like they're really just hamming it up. Like the boys is where it came from. Like
That's it.
this year I'm gonna pair Magnus to literally every girl I got, and I'll show you. Like I got some girls that are like, she's nice, but I wouldn't date her,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Like
That's awesome.
so I'll show you. I'll show you. I
Yeah,
can guarantee it. Like it's
once
gonna
that
come from him.
experiment's over, you got to come back on and we got to chat about this again because you know, there is so much that we don't know about gargoyles. Think about all the other species you keep, right? Especially the popular ones. How much do we know about ball pythons at this point? Even crested geckos. You listen to people talk about crested geckos and what we've learned over the last decade or more about them. And
Oh
we feel
man,
like
all I know
gargoyles.
about Cresties is that there's too many of them.
Yeah.
Like y'all,
Well,
y'all need to stop breeding them.
but now they're coming out with all these morphs, and you listen to some of the podcasts out there right now, and it's like a little mini science class for people. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, but
so
like, so I have my own opinions on the whole Cresty morph thing, and
sure.
I might have the controversial take. Whereas like the most or like the most recent thing I've seen was there
Hmm.
was a dude, I believe he was in Spain. Um, he like what started off as like the boba line or the boba
Yeah.
scales. Like this dude just went insano style with it, and this gecko came out and like its dorsal scales were just bubbly and like it. I was like, at this point, that thing must be suffering, bro. Like that doesn't look right. That looks like leprosy,
Yeah. It's about
So I was,
Cthulhu.
yeah, it's just kind of like we were too concerned if we could.
Yeah, should we? Right? It's Jurassic
Yeah, it's
Park.
like, yeah, exactly. It's like, but should we? Like, I don't know. It
Yeah,
was go
and that's one
and
thing.
plus the other idea that like this what was the starting stock of Cresties back in like what was it, the 60s 70s? I think Philippe only brought in like 50, 60 animals.
Yeah,
So all of these Cresties, these thousands of Cresties,
they're
all
all inbred.
originated from 60 animals.
Yeah.
So like we're putting Alabama to shame. Like they're feeling a little jealous here.
Yeah, and I think that's why people care about lineage. I mean, whether it's finding out if it's your second cousin or fourth cousin, it makes a difference.
I mean,
Um,
does it when your whole freaking family tree is a reef? I don't know.
yeah,
Like,
because I think with reptiles, it's a little more forgiving. You look at the fish industry. I don't know if you've kept fish.
oh,
Uh,
dude,
they're
I've had it all.
yeah. I mean, talk about inbreeding, right?
Yeah.
But whether the animal's healthy is really the thing. And I don't. There are examples like you just said with the boba scales where maybe they went a little bit too far. But I would say overall most of the crested geckos I see are healthy, right? Whether they're overproduced or not, it's. I think the market will kind of determine that, right? Because if they're overproduced and there's not people buying them, then people will stop producing them in such mass, hopefully. That's one thing I like
Right.
about the Gargs, why I did that. When I was looking at what species to play around with, I liked the Gargs and the Iridactyloides, and I want to get back in the Iridactyloides because I don't see a ton of people working with either. There's a
Oh
good
well,
number.
I just right now I just collected a set of eggs for my Valiardi. So if you want some
Hey,
Valiardi,
I actually, yeah, there's actually a couple that's here in Chicago. I'm forgetting their name, but I'll post it right here when I edit this. That I really, maybe I'll pick one up from you because I want to diversify the bloodlines. But they're starting to get some color. They're telling me lasts on their Iridactyloides into adulthood, which is pretty sweet. And I think if
oh, that's
those
cool.
start to get some color patterns and things like that, kind of like the lychees have. That could be a really cool thing to have. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think Eurodactylodes will always be a more niche and kind of like I'm not gonna say low end because that's kind of disrespectful to Eurodactylodes. They're one of my favorite geckos. Um,
Yeah, they are.
but like they'll always be the cheap gecko. The babies will be like 150 bucks, $100,
which I'm fine
right?
with. I mean, it's $150, and they produce like crazy, and you can keep multiples in an enclosure. I mean, there I did have a pair of Agricola before I started anything else, and those things pumped out babies. The only reason why I sold them is because I wanted to upgrade my gargoyles, and I kind of
Right.
regret it at this point, to be honest with you. So they're just fun. They're easy to handle. They don't freak out. They're not fast moving. They're out all the time. So
Oh
they're
yeah, I
great
mean their tail
geckos.
is so fat that they can't jump. So
No, not at all. It's really cool. So I like those. But like I was saying with the gargoyles, it's just like you said, it's not so saturated, and I don't see it becoming that saturated. Um, because I don't think there's the variety yet, right? Maybe if we start to see some morphs, if you can start to see new colors pop out or hypos or melanistic ones, maybe we can get some traction. But I don't see that
give the
coming out
Koreans
anytime
another
soon.
year. They'll get
You
it.
think
Oh dude, the Koreans, they get everything.
they'll find it? Yeah, I
They'll
don't
they'll
know.
find it.
But maybe they'll do that, and that's cool. But for right now, I'm happy with what size this market is. Um, I just
Right.
need the economy to pick up in general.
Oh dude, tell me
So
about it. It hurts when your main source of earning food is this,
this,
and
yeah,
yeah,
and people decide
it's
whether they want to go and actually go grocery shopping or buy a snake or go grocery shopping to buy a tortoise. Yeah.
right.
So okay,
Yeah.
pivoting back to the geckos. So you're looking at pairing Magnus to a whole bunch of females. What other? I just got some blotches. I was talking about them. Do you have any killer blotches you're working with right now that you want to show off or talk about?
Um,
Because I know you got. Don't you have blood splatter?
I did actually. Jake just picked up all of his stuff.
So
He's coming
okay, I
back
was going
in.
to ask you about that if it's okay to talk about. Because yeah, I saw
Yeah,
he posted something like, "Here's the rack that I just picked up," and I'm like, "Is he back?"
yeah. He picked up all of his stuff, and he's back. From
Oh,
at
that's
least
cool.
from what I know, he's coming back in the game. So
All right, couldn't even stay
there it
away a
is.
year, man.
Yep.
Couldn't even
Right.
stay away a year. It's addictive, you know. Do you find yourself ever comparing it to an addiction where you want to keep getting another one or producing another one?
Um, I mean, when you just do this so long, like I don't actually know what I would do with my time
Fair
if
enough.
I didn't have this. Right?
Yeah,
Like, would I say it's an addiction? No, not really. But I don't know what I would do otherwise.
yeah. No, it's a lifestyle then at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more of a lifestyle than an addiction.
Very cool. So when it comes to gargoyles, obviously you've got some amazing saturation on your geckos. Um, what do you think produces that, other than the male being more chips in? Um, if I'm trying to take the geckos I have currently, what should I be looking for while they're developing to invest in and maybe sell things if I don't see it, if that makes sense?
Um, that's kind of hard to quantify. You'll
Yeah.
just have to it comes with experience because when those first Cleopatra Magnus babies were born,
Mm-hmm.
they we knew, me and Jake both knew that these were going to be something special, but
Mm-hmm.
to any other person, if you set them in a lineup against like a bunch of other Gargs, all you would see is that they had just a little bit more color,
Okay.
right? Like, yeah,
Interesting.
their lines were much wider, right? Their stripes were bigger, but aside from that, what else do we look for? Like, I've had some geckos that less experienced folk would say that one's going to be a heater, and I'd be like, no, that I'm selling that one off because you can almost tell when you look at enough of them for long enough that that stripe is not going to get any bigger.
Yep.
Like, it's not going to spread. And I think a way that to try to like put it into words is when you look at the stripes on the gecko, if the
Mm-hmm.
line is super defined and the negative space between the two lines is super sharp and there's no fuzziness, happening, I
Yep.
highly doubt that it's going to spread.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, from what I can tell, and
So,
actually, I've got a mail right now where I'm debating that. You know,
yeah, send me a photo and
because
I'll give you my
well,
two
here, you want
cents.
me to pull them up? You
Yeah,
can tell
yeah.
me live on this.
Yeah,
All
let's
right,
see.
because I just launched a website. Let me pull this up real quick. So if anybody wants to go to my website, geckocove.com, and I'll pull it up. First time I'm showing everybody this. Cool.
All right, let's see.
Sweet. All right, here we go.
Oh, there you go.
So, yeah, so this is my website. That's my red girl Eve, and you can see some of the stuff I have. So, if we go to, I put it on holdbacks. So these are my blotches right here. So these are my two
All right.
girls, Jiminy Exuma, and then Mahe gets crazy red, but that's him fired down.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
So yeah, Maui has really thick banding, and as she's grown, like you said, you can see how it's kind of fuzzy. I can click on
Mm-hmm.
her and show some more photos later, but she's got the back that really is expanding, which is awesome. Same thing with Deegs. You can see already how thick he is, and this is at like I think 10 grams.
Mm-hmm.
But nope, I have it on not my holdbacks. I think I have it listed for sale.
So I have a question.
Yeah,
I
go
know
ahead.
that you're not so into it, like you're not multi generations deep like I am. Um,
Nope, not yet.
but so have you noticed the trend of like geckos that start off brick red ending up kind of ugly as they age because then like their red not fades but darkens and kind of like gets really
I've
muddy?
seen that. Yeah, and actually, I'll show you that. That's the one thing I'm worried about with Eve, is that she may get that way. But I'll show you that. Let's circle back to that in just a second. This was the gecko I'm talking about. Named him Cook for right now, but you can see
Mm,
how the lines are pretty defined, but there's a little bit of fuzziness. So I'm kind of
so
debating.
to me, what that looks like is that dorsal is just gonna be fuzzy, but it's not gonna spread. I don't
Yeah,
think.
fair enough.
Like it might
So
fill in where it's currently at, but I just don't see it getting bigger.
yeah, yeah. The nice thing is it's got pretty decent laterals, but yeah, it's a fun
Like
little male.
yeah,
It's
it's
got
just
force for
really
days.
hard for me to describe why I think it won't spread, but
Yeah,
just like gut feeling, I don't think the color is gonna spread any wider. Like maybe a little bit, but see that really dark defining lateral line?
yeah, right here.
That's gonna be your border.
Yep. No, I can see that. So
Yeah, like
yeah, it's cool
that's
kind of going through that stuff just to see. And like I said, you've seen more babies than I've seen, um, and I've only had this baby for a little bit. So yeah, I've actually this is Eve's first baby right here,
okay.
and it's starting to color up pretty nicely. You can see, I mean, it's just bright yellow, so it's definitely going to turn red. But
Right.
let me go back, like you said. So this was Eve as a baby when I picked her up, just in sunlight. And then if I go to my breeders, so you can see she's already darkening up, right?
Right.
And then darkening up there. These are her parents.
Oh, so they're like blood red. Yeah, yeah, I got you.
Yeah, and then so I on here just put, this is when I first got her. You can see the six stripe there, but you can see here she was in the stage where she was like right here, just fire engine red.
What would you
So
even
cool.
call that? Is that like red base or is that red
It's
like that's just
red
red
base, red
base, right?
stripe.
Yeah.
Well, it's red base, red stripe because you can see it's got the stripes
Mm-hmm.
here,
Yeah,
and
there it
she's like
is.
purple when she fires down. And so in person you can see her.
So, oh, here's
Same
another
thing here.
interesting point. So I was just over at Brian's house. Brian over at Koala's Geckos.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
got one of his
so
girls.
yeah, me and Brian were talking like we were just, shooting the shit, just hanging out and um I brought up this question to Brian. So like what do you think us as breeders is trying to do with Gargs? Like are we just trying to make something 100% red? Like we're getting close. So like
Yeah,
what's the end game here?
and that's a great question. Is are there other colors to bring out? Is the hypo potential gene something that's going to change? More pastel-y kind of thing. I don't know.
Like,
What do you
to
think?
date myself, like I remember when people were breeding black and whites and thought that
Hmm.
those were just the bee's knees.
They're
And
still cool.
yeah,
They're
they're cool,
cheap.
but like they're worth nothing.
Yeah.
Like a buddy of mine who produces a ton of geckos. Shout out to Chris Cruz over at AO Geckos, by the way. He's a solid guy. If you haven't seen him, he produces like probably the most gargoyle geckos in the United States, and I'm not even like shitting you right now. He has
I'll have to check them
tons.
out.
Dude, he has a ton. Like he puts me to shame.
That's awesome.
So,
I'll have to, yeah, I
like,
don't know. I'll have to check them out.
yeah, he produces loads of them, man. So I've
So what is
seen it.
he aiming for then? What do you think? Is it just
He
the
does this.
red?
He does the same thing that I'm doing. Is like he's trying to chase high color stuff to try to chase the market because that's where it is. But
Sure.
you could go to his crib and like he's got things that are like black and white, pure whites. He has stuff that's pink. Like
That's cool.
he's got stuff all over the place. But he produces some nice stuff. But like
Well,
again,
one
just
other. Oh,
what's
go
our
ahead.
end game, right? Like what are we trying to do? Like you saw that Cleopatra Magnus baby, like that's like 98% color.
Yeah.
What do I do at that point? Because for me, aside from like the chase, right? The chase of like getting 100% coverage on an animal, I think these gargs and like even lychees, for instance, a lot of the beauty comes in the fact that there's a contrast between the base color and the pattern. So like if we
Yep.
make a Garg that's 100% red, like that's just now a red gecko, like kind of boring.
Well, I think that's very polarizing. I think some people love the red on red, and I've talked to people who just are obsessed with that. And then I've seen people who, like you said, hate it and they want the contrast. If they can get paper white with a red or paper white with black, you know, that's their dream gecko, right? It's that high contrast gecko. I think it's whatever, there's always going to be the next thing, whatever it may be, right? And I don't think we know sometimes what it is. Because I personally, one of my favorite things that I saw when I first got into gargoyles was the yellow base reticulated ones, right? They remind me
Oh
of like
yeah,
a
those
bunny,
are cool. Yeah, those are
right?
cool.
But
And those fell out of fashion
reproducing
real
yellow
fast.
really fast. You can pick them up dirt cheap, if you can find them. But I don't even see them on Morph Market very much,
You know who does have one that
Um,
I think you should hit him up. Hit up
yeah.
Brian. He's got one
Does he
that's
have
real
one?
nice.
I, but that's something that's think it would be really cool, right? And like you said, I think people get into this for the reds. I mean, that's why people go into the gargoyles. Whether you like the white bases, the brown bases, but I think coverage right now, that is the race, especially on the head. Everybody wants to have head coverage.
Oh yeah,
The
everyone's trying to chase Tremper. Philip Tremper, he was the guy that
yeah,
did that.
yeah. Well, it's who I just had on before you. So I mean, we were talking about the tomato line is awesome, but it's popping up everywhere. So did I tell you what I wanted to call that before I knew we called it the tomato line?
No, what was it?
The the Eugene Levy line because it's the giant eyebrows.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Wouldn't that be great? The
Oh
Levy
man.
line.
Oh yeah, dude. But
But
I think that's now becoming less common. Like for instance, Magnus and Cleopatra, they have like no head coverage. Like Magnus
mhm.
didn't have anything on his head, but look at his baby. Like she almost has like a full mask. Just the top of her head was blank. So
Well, right, but where does that come from, right?
I
It's popping up. We're breeding the highest coverage, and then some of them were popping out that way. You said that they had four babies. I'm guessing all four didn't look that way. That
no,
was
no, that one
amazing,
was the craziest one, right? Like that's
right?
but I wouldn't say the other
That's
ones
top
were
tier.
bad. We're
No,
talking
no,
the
no, no.
difference between S and A.
Yeah,
So
but I would
they're
say
right
though
there.
that what you're chasing is unless people are producing them consistently, people are always going to chase that slightly better one, right? And so I don't know. Plus, I don't think we have a formula. That's what's kind of cool about these geckos is it's not like if you breed, maybe it is, if you breed Magnus to anything, you're going to get that exact baby. I think it's kind of the, maybe what 10% look that way, 20% look, just a step below it, and then majority of it looks just really great because you've got quality stock, but it's not going to blow anybody away, if that makes sense.
Right, right. Well,
I don't know.
who knows? Who knows? At the end of the day,
And
we're
that's
just a
why we
bunch of
can have
gecko
fun.
nerds, right? We're just a bunch of nerds just having fun with these.
Exactly. We're just trying to understand them. And that's why anybody's going to listen to you or me is people are just trying to figure out what the hell is going on with these things so I could reproduce it myself. Because I don't have 7 to 10,000 to you name whatever, numbers you got
Oh,
offered for that gecko. Right. And so until that gecko drops down to, I don't know, $1,000, whatever, look at the lily whites, right?
oh, don't even talk to
Now
me about
everybody,
that, dude. That that hurt
but
me.
that's what it's to me, you know? Lily whites, when they first came out, how much were they? Right?
Dude,
They were
I
well,
was in the game when lily whites were selling for like $5,000 to $7,000 a pop.
right. Right. And now they're so easily produced. Do you think that a gecko of the caliber you showed me is going to be that easy to produce in
No,
5 years?
so because we're talking the difference between
There you
Mendelian
go.
and polygenesis,
Exactly.
right? Polygenesis is you. There's no formula to recreate a polygenic animal.
And I think that's why there's always going to be a market, for top tier animals like that. I think the middle of the market's the hard part to sell
Oh yeah,
because we
hundred
can
percent.
overproduce those.
100%.
So,
Like it's, I don't know, but at that same point, more and more people are getting into gargoyle geckos. Like I've seen,
mhm.
like there's one guy, Sam, wherever you are, if you see this, you son of a bitch, like you're gonna blow us all out the water. Because during COVID time, he was buying out people's best stock, and like with the numbers he was tossing people, like yeah, if I was weak, I would do it too.
Mhm.
Like I would
Yeah,
sell to Sam. Like people made a lot of money on Sam, but Sam got some of the craziest Gargs on the market. Like
that's awesome.
I would expect his average baby to be other people's best forever. Like his average production is gonna top people's best and top of the line.
Okay.
That's what
No,
Sam is doing.
I have a feeling I know who you're talking about, but I don't know 100%.
Sam
Um,
Shi. That's his IG handle.
yeah,
Sam Shi.
yeah. I tried reaching out to him. If you're watching this, Sam, yeah, hit me up. Love to chat with you, man. But I
Oh
mean,
man.
good for him. You look at it, and yeah, there was some. He's one. There's a few other people that I can think of that around that time had some money to burn and picked up. He probably dropped them all, but like you know, most people don't have that. Not to spend on geckos.
No.
So
No, dude, like me getting Alvarezzi, like this lizard right here is
yeah,
easily $15,000, dude. Like I had to drop money to get into Alvarezzi. But like
yeah.
I got also a pretty
Okay.
sick hookup because it's my dad. Like he just was like, "Here, son, like I'll get
But
you
it's
straight
still
on
not
these."
free.
Yeah, it wasn't free, but he still hooked me up.
That's
Like,
awesome, man.
you know,
Well, that's the thing is people have to build up unless you have money from another career or you're just a trust fund kid or whatever it may be.
man, who has money
Most
these days?
people, right? I mean, I'm not poor, but I'm not rich, and so with this stuff, like I can't touch my regular income for
Right.
geckos, right? My wife would absolutely kill me. Everything that I've done here is supposed to be net neutral, right? And so I have to sell to buy and do that. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there like that.
Oh, for sure.
Um,
That's the
and
majority of
so
people.
majority of people, and we're going to be chasing the stuff that you guys have for our entire career. And if we get one gecko as good as Magnus or his baby, I think that's just the goal, and that'll keep the hobby going. Um, so I want to pivot real quick to some of the cool inventions I saw that you created, and if you have a
Yeah.
second to talk about those. I saw you have those. They're not magnetic. They've got the suction cups that you put a 3 pound weight on, so they don't that it's going to stay. It's not like the cheap
Yeah,
stuff in the box
those
stores.
mm-hmm. Yeah, those
Yep.
industrial suction cups. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
So talk to me about those.
before went full time with the animals, I was an engineer and I learned 3D modeling and stuff over at the Navy when I was designing like apertures for drones. I would like stick
Oh,
stuff
that's
onto
cool.
drones. So, I was like I was really tired of like the Pangea ledges either snapping or like you let the magnets hit too hard and that's it, the ledge is cracked. Um,
Yep.
or like the geckos would stick their foot in it and like just toss the cup out. I got really fed up with that, so I made a spill-proof gecko ledge, and then I also made some hide boxes that were like blacked out on all sides except the bottom, so you could just easily lift it up and check if there's eggs. And then I got some other gecko stuff in the works, but it just takes time to model them.
That's so cool. And they're all 3D printed, correct?
Yeah. I printed
Yeah.
myself. Like, yeah, I have like my own miniature print farm. Like, I do 3D
Nice.
printing for like cosplayers and whatnot on the side.
Sweet. Another little mini business. Yeah, the boxes I'm really interested in. Right now I just mount up my substrate into one corner, but
Uh-huh.
just looking at it, it's not bioactive, so I have to replace the substrate fully,
Oh,
every
dude,
so
the
often.
lay boxes are real cool because you can go bioactive and not really have to worry about the isopods going into the lay box
Right.
because it's kind of a one-way trip. They can't really crawl in and like they can get in, but if they get in, they're
Yeah.
just gonna starve and die. And if you're being a responsible gecko owner, you're checking those lay boxes at least once or twice a week, and the isopods won't do
Oh,
anything to the eggs. And
with
that,
how small my collection is, I probably check way too much, to be
yeah.
honest with you.
So
Yeah, so I'm
if
not missing
you get
anything.
lay boxes, they should work pretty good, pretty good.
That's awesome. And you're still selling those?
Oh yeah, if you wanted to do an order,
Yeah.
like I could get you straight.
Sweet. All right. How much, if anybody's listening, how much do those go for? Those
It
boxes.
depends on the size. So the big ones that I do for Leachianus geckos, like you could even put
Hmm.
like the big boy Leachianus geckos, like the 14 inches. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
those ones I sell for 20, and then for the responsible gargoyle and crested gecko size, I do those at 15.
Sweet. All right. It's not bad prices at all. Um, so cool. Yeah, I might have to hit you up after this for those. So for
For
sure.
sure.
Um, speaking of Leachianus, I know I mentioned this earlier, but you had a crazy covered baby Leachianus. Is that a certain line that you're working with? Did that just
Let
randomly
me.
pop out?
So that one, um, it came out of a line that me and my buddy had been working on. And we
God, that's
don't, this is
gorgeous.
an anomaly. Like we don't know why she looks like this. Her parents are nice, don't get me wrong, but like they took the cake and fucked it too. It was kind of crazy.
See, that's the thing with these things. Like, you don't know what's going to pop out. You spend all this money on these crazy, geckos, and sometimes it pays out, and sometimes it's just the random stuff that just throws this. This is gorgeous. So, would you call that snowflaking? I'm bad with terminology with them. It's fun chatting with you. So,
Yeah, for
all right,
sure.
we're
We got to
back.
do this again.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that thing's absolutely stunning. And is that a keeper? Is that one where you're keeping it forever?
At this point, like I'm so broke that if you toss me a number good enough, I'll sell it.
Fair enough. Yeah, my son, we went to an expo the other day to pick up my newest gargoyle, and Ariel from Aerotronics was the one I did the deal with, and he has this lychee that he always has out on the counter, his big yate, and my son's like, that is what I want. Put that in my room. I'm like, dude, you're 4 years old. You're not getting a yate.
Oh man. Well,
Like,
lo and behold, I actually like we'll talk about this later, but just the quick
yeah,
cliff notes on it. I have a pair, like my male is from Bubba, who is one of the most famous geckos out there, if you know who Steve
yeah,
Tremelli
leaping
is.
lychees. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I have one of Bubba's
Steve's awesome.
kids, and I have a distant relative of Bubba, or not distant, I think it's like one of Bubba's siblings that's living out in Europe. I have one of
Okay.
their kids, and I paired those two babies together, and Bubba's huge, right? Like
Hmm.
500 grams. Like the kids that I have just laid two good eggs the other week, so I have my first
Oh,
sets of
so by
yates coming out.
very fun. Well, his birthday is in the middle of summer, so maybe by then I'll save up
Oh well, we'll
enough.
see.
That's awesome. So, going back to that baby though, I just wanted to ask because I'm really curious. What kind of locale is that? Is that you said the parents weren't ridiculous? Is that a GT
Um,
cross? Is that an island
so
cross?
the
Locale
dad,
specific?
the dad comes from Alan Rapace, and he's supposedly,
Oh,
like, no one really knows. All right, let's just get this
okay,
out there. These were all tossed in a box coming from New Caledonia. Can we actually claim they're GT this or that? Like, no, but we can guess, or like,
sure.
just have faith. So we believe that the father's side is pure GT because he's huge. He's
Okay,
really big. The mom was just some GT cross,
cool.
and then the resultant, or the thing that made that, like, we're talking about the parent generation, so the ones that made that
Sure.
thing was that Rapace line mixed with some other GT cross that, again, the parents were okay, but not that.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah, definitely the hot one in the family for sure. That's awesome, man. So I know you don't have a ton of time left, but I do want to pick your brain about one more thing, not gecko related, that I saw on your Instagram, just because I'm sort of a tortoise and turtle nut. I've
okay.
always wanted them, but I never have the patience to do the veggies every day. So, but
Oh, it's not that bad.
no, it's not. I just I need to eat more veggies myself, so I got to keep it in the house. But anyway, but you keep some really cool species, right? So, what are they? Radiated Sri Lankan. Am I missing
Um,
something?
so I do radiated Sri Lankans and Indians.
Okay,
So, just two of the stars, which are basically also the same species, just different localities. And then the radiata. That's all I work with.
very cool. And you can't sell the radiated tortoises past state lines, right? Is that accurate?
Uh, we'll talk about that. But
Okay,
when
fair enough. No, fair enough.
technically, yes, you're not supposed to let
Technically,
them travel state lines, but there's
fair
ways
enough.
around that.
Cool. All right. I did not know that. That'd be awesome. Yeah, they're gorgeous. So yeah, maybe one day I'll get a tortoise, but those I just had to ask about those. Do you have a favorite species?
Radiata, easy.
Yeah. Personality or just looks?
Everything. They're the best.
Everything. Fair enough. All right. And one last question, just because I promised you I'd ask. Um, you are known for all these amazing animals, and the most unique animal that you work with, and it's this spectrum of animals, are beetles. So really quick, rapid fire. What is your favorite beetle? If someone wants to get into them, what should they look at first?
Oh God. Well, easiest one that like will hook you into the hobby is probably going to be rainbow stag beetles.
Okay.
Um, my favorite beetle, personally,
Yeah.
would either be Goliath beetles, hence the name change,
Yeah.
or
Oh, there you go.
this one species called Homoderus mellii. It's, if you look on my page, it's like an orange
Well, here,
beetle
let's
that
look it up.
kind of.
I've got it actually up real quick if you want, and you can tell me
Oh,
what you're
perfect.
looking at.
Yeah, it's gonna be like one of the most recent posts. There you go. It's
All right.
that fourth post right there. You just scrolled past
It's
it.
right here
Nope,
or
up, up,
up
up.
here.
That one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So which one is this?
That's Homoderus mellii. That's from Cameroon. They're one of the most unique beetle species because they look like they're cell shaded, like straight out of Borderlands. If you played that video game,
Yep. Oh, these things are so cool.
yeah,
And
they
so, and
they're
even
super
just the
unique.
oh, did I lose you again?
No, I'm here. I'm here. Oh,
Internet.
uh-oh. Did hello, hello?
Hey, people. So,
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Did I
Hello?
lose you?
No, I'm here.
Oh, all of a sudden I can't hear you. Yeah, I can see you.
Oh, well, that's weird. Um, hopefully catches me in the recording, but no, I can hear you. Um,
Seriously. The
well,
universe wants us to stop talking.
probably. Yeah, that's true.
Hey guys, so sorry about that. I had some technical difficulties at the end there. Uh, Jay was so nice dealing with him coming in and out sometimes. So sorry if it kind of got a little bit of piecemeal there. But he's got so much great information. Aren't his geckos just absolutely amazing? So I would love to have them. I will never have geckos that amazing. Maybe I will, but I hope I'm wrong there. But we're going to have him back on. He was a really cool guy to chat with. And I'm very curious to see if he's correct about the male gargoyles, that they put in more of their genetic material than the female. It's a theory. It's a cool theory. And we'll see if it pans out. If he pairs Magnus to all those amazing, well, not amazing, but just all of his females, and the babies come out with that high quality, maybe not all of them, but a good majority of them, he might be onto something. So keep posted. Please, if you like this, please like, subscribe, and I'll have them back on. If anybody wants to hear more about the beetles too, I think that's really cool. Go check out his Instagram. He's got, some of the Goliath beetles and the grubs. They're massive, they're bigger than your geckos. So go check them out. And I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but, I'm not a big bug guy, but I think they're cool. So go check them out. Say hi to Jay. Send him a message if you're interested in any of his animals. And thank you guys so much for watching and supporting. I'll see you next time on Gecko Cove. Hey, if you've enjoyed this video and want to encourage me to make more Gargoyle Gecko content, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, share this with a friend, and maybe check out one of the videos right over there. I'll see you next time on Gecko Cove.